Good evening. Hi, guys.
Hi, gang.
Hello.
I know our intro didn't kick off when I clicked it.
Oh,
I guess I clicked it too late. I don't know.
I'm not doing it. I'm just not even.
Yeah, the StreamYard was just like, yes, I know you clicked it, but I don't care.
It's on StreamYard's time only.
That's right.
StreamYard is being a little bitch. Okay.
Classic StreamYard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Damn it, StreamYard. Damn it.
Did it again.
Well, I do wish it didn't suck so much power from my computer so I could put up a cool background again, but that's okay. We're streaming everywhere, so it's all good, right?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Good evening, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly in chat.
Hello,
Hi, Heather.
Kelly. Hello, everyone. I am including
Melissa.
everyone.
Ooh, and
Feckin'
Melissa's in
stream,
the
yeah.
house.
We might have had some. Hi, Sandy. We might have had some feckin' Merle this past weekend from our ghostly shenanigans.
Oh, what happened?
Everything, Wendy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Merle got smuggled across the border.
I did. And I
In a
brought
barrel?
I trafficked about $100 worth of Canadian goodies to distribute amongst the Americans.
So let's put this in
Ooh.
perspective. $100 Canadian is about $22.34 at the grocery outlet.
$84. $84.
It's the thought that counts.
Don't hate on me, Canadians. This
Attack.
is a joke we always play.
All 5 of you attack.
He'll
got-
send the geese after us.
Yeah, he'll send the geese. But I will say my other half loved the butter tarts, and I was a big fan of the cheesy poofs and the innovation in chocolate peanut butter candy bars.
Ooh.
And the vinegar chips. I mean, the ketchup chips, because we
All
don't
dressed.
do ketchup. Well, no, one of them says ketchup.
Okay, you
The
got
back
the
says
ketchup one.
ketchup. Yeah, I didn't get the all dressed.
Okay, I think Melissa took those ones.
Mm.
Yeah, so tonight's a good show. It's strong. Actually, no, we're going to still talk about our adventure, Jake. We're going to pause on tonight's show. I want you to talk about what we came up with, our new innovative.
Well,
technique.
let's give some context.
Okay.
Before we do anything. So when I smuggled Merle over the border in his pickup truck.
In his pickup truck?
Pickup truck. Yes.
Okay.
He was smuggled across the border in his very big gas guzzling. That is Ollie in the background. He's having an evening. His very big gas guzzling pickup. I know because I filled up this pickup and it is a never ending gasoline suck.
Melissa and I joked about that. Yep.
Yeah, I remember up there because you guys do liters. I put 220 some Canadian dollars into this truck and it was still hungry.
Ouch. It doesn't have 2 tanks?
No, it's just large and in charge.
Mm-hmm. So as we got Merle over the border, we went to Cape Disappointment, which is in the extreme. Was not a disappointment. It was in the extreme southwest corner of the state. It's by Astoria, Oregon. And we did a ghost hunt at a haunted lighthouse / lighthouse keeper's residence.
That was featured on Ghost Adventures.
It was featured on the 3rd episode of Graveyards of the Pacific, season 20, Ghost Adventures. Zach got possessed.
In the bed I slept in.
No way, because that never happens.
Never.
Ever.
Ever. Ever. But we developed a new communication way of communicating with the spirits.
We did.
You did? What did you do?
Superficially, I'll start it off and Merle can finish it. Superficially, it looks like a seance.
Okay.
But take it away, Merle.
So the plan was Jake wanted to do a seance that night.
You know me.
Yep. Jake has a list, and if you do not match those, if he does not check off each thing on the list, there is hell to pay.
True.
He needs the shot, and he needs the sequences. Do not argue.
Mind you, I let everyone know up front.
Absolutely.
Once in checklist, and as soon as this shit is checked off, please feel free to do whatever the hell you want.
Absolutely. So we start to get the seance ready. Jake got all the cameras good to go. And so there are 4 of us doing this. But then I thought of the idea of maybe putting one of us in the Estes method. So blindfold with a spirit box, and you still hold hands like a seance. You still everyone's conducting the seance, but you're kind of just the beacon getting alternate information. If they're not getting their stuff through the seance, it's coming through the spirit box.
Yeah, but we also put out other gadgets around to pick out anomalies on the table. So it would be other ITC devices or electromagnetic field anomaly detectors, because you never know how it's going to work.
True, right.
So we had a smorgasbord of flashy, glowy things in a dark room.
It was really cool.
Okay.
I didn't get to see any of it because I had Jake's blindfold on.
But I sent him a cut. I did, because I recorded it. I sent him a cut of the video.
I didn't get a cut.
Oh, do you want me to send you the cut?
Later. We can do it later.
And then this was a pretty successful technique. I think we got a lot of action, a lot of words come through that correlated to what the questions the ladies were asking.
We got Morse code.
Actual Morse code, because we even brought a Morse code machine up there.
A telegraph.
Telegraph machine. And got hits back on it. And so we officially developed a technique. What are we calling it, Jake? You can announce it.
Okay, so here, I'll before I give the name, I'll give you the context for it. So technique is a way or procedure of generating an efficient result. And North Head, which is a rocky outcrop at Cape Disappointment with an active lighthouse to guide ships from the north down around the Columbia River. And so we've named this process/procedure the North Head technique.
Awesome.
The first of its kind.
And that we've seen. Heard of.
It is the first of its kind.
Yes, Merle.
No, it was really neat. It was kind of cool to watch. Like, I'm not one to get, like, I'm not a visions guy or see things type guy, but when we were doing this technique, I felt annoyance and anger around us. Not like anything dark or bad or anything, just like some spirit probably going, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, what are you doing? And getting like impatient. And I saw like a vision of like a guy tall with a handlebar mustache, blue pants, a white shirt with suspenders, just staring at us in the kitchen doing the Merle pose.
Ooh.
And just, yeah, it was really interesting.
Yep. He had some psychic connections and stuff. And when he said that, I heard a humph, like,
yeah,
I'm out of the kitchen. You know, like grumpy old man, like, what is this bullshittery I am fortaken in here?
I love that.
But the audio, the mics didn't pick it up.
Oh, darn. Because I was hoping for a Southern gentleman type accent, you know.
That neck of the woods, it probably wouldn't have been Southern.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But you never know, though.
You never know.
I know Grandpa spent time up there, so you would have had definite Midwestern accents.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the North Head technique. It was really cool. But what was really cool about the weekend was watching Jake do Morse code on the telegraph machine. And we even had an old tape deck that we were recording on. And he got like letters back.
Yeah, it recorded Morse code. Okay, so I'm gonna do the debunking.
Okay.
If you're ham radio, amateur radio, you know, it's a low power thing. It doesn't hit the frequency of like commercial radio broadcasts, but the electromagnetic devices and the cassette recorder picked up the Morse code. But it is totally someone practicing on their ham radio and stuff.
Okay.
But I did, you know, the dits and dots to transmit, and we did get a lot of ghostly activity that popped up.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say you got to rule out the Morse code because the devices picked up
But
the radio
you did
frequency.
get response regardless if it was actual Morse code or not. You were getting
for sure.
taps and beeps and dots and
I was throwing down with the da 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 da.
Okay. Cool.
I learned Morse code in the Army, so I threw down with it. Never thought I would use Morse code on a ghost hunt, and that's Oliver whining
again. Okay. Well, Augie will be in here shortly, going, "Give me something. I don't care what." Laura, I see your comments in the chat. Looks like you're on our YouTube channel, which is awesome. Yay.
Yay.
Thanks for joining. Everybody, thanks for joining. Melissa, what was your take on all of this? We have people in the chat room, everybody, who's just listening. So
yeah, Melissa's on the Facebook, it looks like.
Yes.
I don't know if she'll chime in. She did a big segment on history and getting to the truth behind Mary Pezzinin Nay Watson. Oh yeah, that's right. Outside where the residence was, there was the telegraph tower. It's been torn down, but they did have a transmitter right there.
Neat. Okay.
Took pictures of it. It'll probably make the video. They're not the best quality. Maybe I can find something in the archives to replace them.
Okay. Yeah, we can always splice them in.
So yeah, that was the lighthouse investigation. First time I ever did a lighthouse. It was pretty cool.
So
how was your weather?
It was good.
Good.
Yeah,
cold.
It was sunny the day we left. And it was pretty calm.
I saw some pictures. It was absolutely stunning. So, or maybe a little bit of video with the waves coming in and crashing and.
Yeah. Whoa, Oliver, buddy. Ollie. I might have to grab my boy, pick him up so he can make a surprise visit.
Do a cameo?
Do a cameo.
Poor Ollie.
Poor Oliver. He's definitely earning his middle name, Asmus Diaz, this evening.
Cold with lots of stars.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Shall we get onto the topic of tonight's show? Oh, just so you know, plug. Ghosts at the Lighthouse will be out most likely in 3 weeks.
Okay.
At the rate that I'm cutting the video.
Okay.
3 weeks.
Awesome.
And don't forget to go watch Ghosts at the Lodge.
And Ghosts at the Inn, too. Our other documentaries.
Ghosts at the Lodge.
We'll have a handful of documentaries coming out. Don't y'all worry.
That's right. Those ghostly shenanigans. Anyway, we got to talk about dead mobsters. Dead mobsters. And maybe coppers.
Maybe.
This
was a cool topic that was picked last week for us to look into.
Yes.
I think I already think there could be a part 2 because I found about 4 different stories I wanted to tell, but I stuck with one because I know Jake has a larger one. But I think it would be neat to talk ghostly mobsters or crime, like true crime ghosts. But the mob stuff was so grisly, so personal, and I think the energy imprint of getting bumped by a mobster stays wherever it happens because it's very personal. My story. What were you gonna say, Jake?
Well, when we cover my section, I would say not so much.
No. But we're gonna cover mine. We're gonna go to Pennsylvania.
What? Where's that, Merle?
It's on the east coast of the United States, right above Florida, and
somewhere
below New York.
Okay.
Am I right?
It's just south of. It's on the east coast, just south of New York State, but New Jersey kind of blocks it from the Atlantic.
It's below Florida, somehow.
No,
I said above Florida. Above
Florida.
Okay.
Above Florida, below New York.
Near Atlantis.
Where's at least Saskatchewan, Wendy? Where is it? Tell me.
I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell. No, never.
At least he didn't say it's one of those square ones in the middle.
It has the penguins in it.
Oh, true. Pittsburgh Penguins.
It has Gettysburg in it.
Oh,
He knows something about the Civil War.
It has that bell in it.
Yes, in Philadelphia. He knows more than like 60% of Americans know.
I know it's over to the east somewhere.
Yeah, so I can go on about the history of Philadelphia, but what I want to do is I want to cover there's a little town there.
Okay.
With a tavern.
Oh.
Got a tavern.
You want me to show a picture of the tavern?
Yes, please do it.
One moment while I retrieve that information. Talk amongst
One moment, please.
Retrieving. I will now share.
It's called the Black Horse Tavern. I just have my notes up here to tell the story. And it's in a little town community called Easton.
Here you go, folks. This is it.
Mm-hmm. And it was built around 1792. So it's been around. It's seen some things. And it's also seen a lot of prohibitions where a lot of the gangsters would go when they were coming south from New York, going or coming up to go into Canada. They always came into here. I know all the different mob boss families went through here. There was a lot of turf war around this area too, especially with prohibition. So my story is I actually wrote it out. So I am going to read it just so I am accurate for everyone. So in its prime, the Black Horse Inn was notoriously known to be crawling with many figures from the mafia, like we just talked about. The men would gather regularly and drink and do business, discussing how they're going to run the alcohol. It was also a speakeasy. On the night of July 22nd, where am I? Sorry. On the night of July, I'm trying to read here. The night of July 22nd, it started like any other night. The usual men gathered around the bar and went about their usual business. A man by the name of Severo Damiano, a.k.a. Johnny Ferreira, or he was infamously, I can't even say the word, Jake, say it for me.
Infamously
known as
infamously.
Known as Johnny the Italian rude slang. I'm not going to say the word. Look it up. Anyhow, Johnny Ferreira steps into a phone booth to make a call. The men there thought he was making a call just to give the okay on running some alcohol. A group of unknown suspects burst into the room and opens the door where Johnny was on the phone and opens fire. They shoot him dead. He falls down the basement steps, and just before he died, he crawled into a corner. And none of the witnesses stayed. Everyone fled. This was a big to-do. And he lay there dead. And this murder was forever unsolved. The weird part is the body wasn't found for a couple days. The person who found it was a delivery man. And somebody had covered the body since he was shot till then, because the man that was making the delivery stepped on it thinking it was just a bag of potatoes. But the body had unfortunately gotten a little soft for being there for a few days, and they made this discovery by having your foot kind of go through it. Yeah. And again, clearly wasn't a bag of potatoes. They believe that it was another gangster, a rival gangster named Sam. I can't Scully. I'm not good with Italian names.
Spell it.
Yep, Scully. But no one could prove who killed him. So fast forward until now, there's been numerous paranormal teams going to this inn, and they hear the body going down the steps. They hear choking. They hear people walking around. They hear pacing. They think it is the body of Johnny Ferreira. They hear and have EMF activity, and they use the Ovilus, it was in one of the shows, around the phone booth, around where he was on the phone. And again, it's completely unsolved. And you can actually watch the episode that features the Black Horse Inn on a TV show called The Haunted. And the episode is called Curse of the Black Horse Inn. That was my story. I kind of butchered it with the writing, but yeah, it was just a mob hit, a really grisly mob hit, and the way they found the body kind of stood out for me is why I wanted to tell the story. And the fact that apparently this place is so damn active with who they think is Johnny Ferreira, trying to communicate with people, hearing him cough, hearing him walking, hearing the rustling going down the steps, I guess, from when he got shot. Around where the body was, like if you watch this episode, it's kind of cool. One of the innkeeper's friends brings their dog, and the dog won't go near the area where the body was. So could that be the dog picking up on it, or could they see the spirit? Who knows? And that happened on July 22nd, 1928.
So is the tavern still open to the public?
It is. Is that where we're going, Jake?
Well, I mean, you know, we could take a trip. It's been ages since I went to Pennsylvania. So that could be fun to go check it out. And is it any sort of like historic building or anything like that, or?
Well, I guess it's seen the Civil War.
Okay.
It's been through all of that. I didn't get much on the history of it. It's always been an inn, a hotel, a tavern, repeat sort of thing.
Okay. But never a brothel or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
But its biggest claim is it was a mob place during the Prohibition era.
And so it's close to Philadelphia, you said?
Yep, in a town called Easton.
Yeah, I don't know Easton.
Town called Easton.
I have friends that live in Bucks County over that way, so.
I think Laura from the Cold Spotters Berkshires is close, or not real close, but close enough. She says she'll go.
Yeah, the Berkshires are New York, upstate New York.
Okay.
Are those the Poconos? Are the Berkshires in? Someone correct us. We don't know where the Berkshires are because we're west of there. We'll trade you mountains. I can trade you Rockies and Cascades for Berkshires. Okay.
Woo.
So yeah, this guy was just going about his business, mob guy doing mob things, and goes to use the phone and gets gunned down by an undown mobster.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
I mean, you know, it's just the perils of the job.
True.
You know,
but it'll mess up your whole day.
I mean, could end the day.
Could end the day. Put you in that eternal sleep.
You know, and then you're mush. People find you
literally
scooping up. Yeah. Now like, how long was this body undiscovered for again? Because he's goopy, he's mushy, he's soft, except for probably the bones.
2 days, so it's post rigor mortis, so it's starting to get soft. The gases are expanding.
Okay.
July. Right. So July, you would fast forward that a lot. So that's probably why it was
like roadkill on a hot July day in Kansas City.
Exactly what it would be like.
Oh.
So who knows if it fully went through it, but there were some accounts of, yeah.
I mean, we're just getting gross here, which is
gross.
Good. We can go.
He stepped on a body that was dead. That was been there for a few days. It's all we need. It's all I need to know.
Ick.
Massive ick factor.
There's a post-mortem photo of him on that episode. If you watch it,
okay.
I couldn't find the photo anywhere, and I looked for quite some time.
Okay. What was the guy's name again?
He had a couple aliases. I'll give you both of them.
Okay.
His name was Saviro Damiano, but he went by Johnny Ferreira, Farrara, or Johnny the W word.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard that word in so long.
It's a 20s, 30s word.
High school.
Yeah, I can't.
Dumb jokes. You know how it goes.
Johnny Ferreira, you said, or Ferrara?
Ferrara. Farrara.
I'd go with Johnny Dangerously, because that was a really fun gangster movie.
I dropped them both.
Severo is it Severo?
Yeah, I just sent you the links for it.
Okay.
For the names in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not getting much anything. He's a whiny puppy tonight.
I was kind of disappointed in Kansas City. Not a lot of like personal ghost stories, even though we are the more subtle mafia capital of the world, sort of.
Yeah. So I can find a lot of stuff for Vincent Ferrara,
Mm.
who was a mobster too, but he's a much more recent one. I can't find anything of the guy back in the day. Oh, Melissa, she's like, hold my beer. She'll find us.
Oh, please.
This is why we enjoy Melissa. She's amazing.
But
let me stop. I'll stop the share here on this one. While she's doing that.
Yes, while Melissa is doing a quick check for us.
Because we need
Mafia stuff has always interested me and intrigued me.
Well, I think I found him. Just wait one moment, please. Oh, is this what I'm on? No, I'm at Lehigh Valley News.
Oh, you won't be able to find him per se on any of those. Like a photo of him. I've looked at the one Melissa sent too.
Okay.
Interesting.
I did get his find a grave and his death certificate.
But there was no obituary type photo?
No, it's got it's written in cursive and like Dr. Cursive. Here, I can share this. Here's his death certificate, folks.
Yeah, we got the
why
link.
not?
Why not?
Thank you.
Oops, that's not why I wanted to share. What am I looking at over here? Savaria, here we go. So here is his death certificate. He was 29. He was born in Italy.
Yeah, he's I think he's part of the Sicilian mafia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I see it looks like a hemorrhage due to something that I can't read, and it's got shooting fray, something murdered by.
Ooh.
So July 25th, 1928, it was registered.
And it would happen on the 22nd.
Yeah, I can't see what his actual. I think they put laborer down for his actual occupation. We all know it was gunman.
Is that his wife that signed it, Lucy?
Ooh, Melissa got the death pick.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Ooh, just wait, let's get that death pick. Is this the McCall one? I can't copy it from here.
I
can't. Can I copy it? No, I cannot. Arrgh! Can you DM that to me on my personal Facebook, Melissa? Because I can't copy it from StreamYard.
Dag nabbit.
Dang nabbit.
So what else good happened at the Lighthouse, kids?
Well, we did the Estes method too in the bedroom where Merle got possessed and Zach got possessed.
Well, at least,
Oh, one of the coolest things was there along the mantle of the fireplace were all these journals where people wrote about their stays and their ghost stories. So that was fun to read.
Yeah, there are a ton of experiences there.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a bunch of just wait. She said it was the wrong photo. Proceed while I dig. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we did a Ouija board session as well. and that's all recorded. And we did a little bit of regular ghost hunting. It was mainly a spiritualism styled event. So even though
Cool.
while we had the tech,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't really make it the focus.
We didn't do the tech as much.
Yes, I mean there were still spirit boxes. There was a Paralite. There was Avi the Ovilus showed up.
Mhm. We didn't think Avi would show up, but there she was.
And then he was throwing down with like legitimate answers. I'm just like, Avi, we gotta talk. You should just blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But Avi threw down with some legit responses, and not a lot either, because you were under like for 50 minutes, and Avi only spit out 8 words the whole time.
What kind of experiences happened on the other side? Obviously, because I didn't hear any stuff. I didn't really ask that question.
Yeah, well, we had some knocks. We heard some knocks around the house. Amy got touched. On her, something tugged on her shirt.
Oh, wow.
I was fine. I mean, you had the crazy stuff with the Jake doppelganger.
I totally forgot about that. Explain that one.
So while he was doing the Estes method, while we're doing our North Head technique, he's listening, and he heard me talk to him a few times, but it definitely wasn't me.
Oh, wow.
It was so creepy, Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I heard was, hey, yay, Mike. Like, he said my name, or I was like, hey, hey, hey. It's a phrase he always says when we're investigating. I just can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was him.
Oh, bitch.
Oh, wasn't that word. But Jake's been known to throw out the B word here and there quite often.
It's he, she, it, they, we, us, them, they, dog, cat, food.
I have a photo of the guy.
Okay.
But when I screenshot it, it goes black because it's on my Discovery Plus. So what I'll do is I will unblur for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
You can see Sandra's house. And
oh, there he is. Ooh, eyes open and everything. Just wait. Is this with Mushy Body?
that's Mushy Body. Yeah.
Ooh. That's Mushy Body.
Yeah.
It's exceptionally creepy because his eyes are open.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see he's deteriorating in his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's getting a little messy. Yeah.
Draw him. Good find, Mr. Merle.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I butchered the story, I'm still in it.
No, you did an amazing job. Amazing job.
It was a fantastic job by all.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank everybody in the chat who's been cheering us on and searching as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jake's turn.
Definitely gross.
Thank you.
It was.
All right. So, folks, I'm going to take you to the city I lived in before I moved out west. So, if you didn't know, while I grew up in Wisconsin, most of my adult life was in the Windy City, Chicago. And you wouldn't know what that means. Capone, people. Capone. Chicago was gangsta AF. But let me give you a little history lesson on Alphonse Scarface Capone. Because there's actually some things. This is weird to say. Capone was a very loving father.
I can believe that.
And husband. So let me show you some pictures of Alphonse real quick. Let me share because I'll be kicking through all the pictures on my computer screen here. See, I think I want to just share the entire window because I will be flipping around so much.
Sweet.
Okay, so here's Alphonse. He was born in New York. His parents were Italian. They are Sicilian. He grew up in Brooklyn, and then when he was about 20 years old, he got a call from the Chicago gang. So he is a New Yorker, and essentially he got recruited to go out and grow up to be a big mobster. in Chicago. And they had a connection. His name's like Johnny Torrio, I think is his name. That was kind of his mentor at first. And he brought him out there. And really what Capone and really the mob before Prohibition in Chicago, there's no easy way to say it. They were really a bunch of pimps. They ran the brothels and they did a lot of drugs. And that will come back to haunt Alphonse in a minute. But he was out there to pretty much oversee the brothels on the south side of Chicago. And when Prohibition hit, he and I forgot the other gentleman's name were like, we can make a lot of money with, booze, bootlegging, bringing in. And for one thing, Chicago on the big lake connected to Canada, where it's still legal, you can bring some of that booze down. And that's really what kickstarted him. But he didn't take over. And just so you know, you think this mobster period lasted forever. Well, it kicked up, in 2021 when Prohibition started, and it was pretty much kaput by 1933. So, and then the worst of the gang violence, because don't get me wrong, mobsters were getting bumped off here, just not to the degree, really started about 1925, when the Chicago outfit, which was the Southside Chicago Italians, got into a beef with the North Side Irish Polish mob called the North Side Gang. And that's when things started to take off. And Capone really took over when his mentor, John Torrio, got shot up at the Hawthorne, I think is the name of it, restaurant in downtown Chicago. And John, his mentor was like, F it, I'm going back to New York. I'm out. And when he was done, he was done. Capone took over. Now, because we're talking about haunted stuff, when it comes directly to Capone, really we know he probably killed 3 people, but usually he gave the orders and his henchmen did it. So he's not, indirectly, he murdered lots of people that we know of 3, where he actually did the killing. And some of those were related to baseball bats. Not pretty. But, so with Capone, we have to take a look at some of his greatest hits. So first things first, let's take a look at the thing he's probably most known for, which is the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So this is one of the well-known haunts here, of our history. Essentially a group of a dozen or so, I think it was 7 is the official body count, of Northside gangsters lined up against the wall, killed by Southside, the Chicago outfit, gunned down with Tommy guns. Only the dog saw it coming. No one was ever really caught for it. Today, this, if you can't beat them, Clevo, this is now a parking lot in a nursing home in Lincoln Park in Chicago. So it was torn down in 1967. Supposedly, yeah. And they are actually at the Mobster Museum in Toronto. Now, people that live in the nursing home, when it comes to St. Valentine's Day, they say that they can see what looks like mobsters going through mirrors in the rooms for those that face the old garage where the executions happened. Sometimes German Shepherds, because a German Shepherd survived, they'll wig out when they get to the nursing home. But, the instances of this are starting to kind of fade, and it's longer between apparitions appearing. So I'm thinking if the energy is it's getting to be 100 years, it might be fading away. One of the other things they talk about is in the snow where the bodies were, you can see indents in the snow that look like bodies. But that's pretty much St. Valentine's Day. If I could talk, St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the hauntings related to that. Let's take a look. But one of the other things, just talking about Capone's ghostly nature, is he's been in a few prisons. And the interesting thing about this is what you're seeing here is Eastern State penitentiary. So when he was first arrested in Philadelphia for having a concealed weapon, by the way, which he pled guilty to, and he went to Eastern State, he was sentenced to a year. He got out in 9 months. But let's just say he and the warden were very close. He had a very nice cell. And it was a very luxe kind of situation for being in a prison. Now, they say Capone here was haunted by one of his right-hand men that he had to have bumped off because he wasn't being so loyal. I forgot his name. It was either Frank or John. It might be Jack McGurn. There's a tale on Jack McGurn coming up. As far as I know, it never happened. He wasn't haunted by anyone in that prison. And so they say they see him. I don't know why he would stick around in Eastern State in his death, because he was there for such a short term and it wasn't so bad. I mean, if he's happy to be in prison, sure. But at this time, Capone, when he gets out and stuff, he's like going between Chicago and his private home in Florida, down by Miami. So if anything, I would say, and he bought the home from the Bush family, by the way, the one in Florida. So I think with Eastern State, that's most likely it's not Capone. It might be some other gangster that's there. Next up, though, is later on, Capone, I think this was in the early 30s, he was arrested for tax evasion. And he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Now, originally, he was sent to Atlanta for processing. I don't know really the story there. He was already sick at the time. He had essentially a lethal case of syphilis. And so he's at the Atlanta penitentiary, and things are going pretty well for him there. So of course the feds aren't a big fan of that. So they send him to this new prison called Alcatraz. And Capone had no say or sway whatsoever on the West Coast. He was just a regular prisoner. Now, mind you, he was very well behaved. He played banjo. He was a member of the band. But he was really starting to deteriorate from the neurological disease, neurological situation with syphilis. And he spent, I think it was 6 years in Alcatraz. And yes, that's his cell. And one of the things they talk about with the haunting here is you can hear him playing the banjo at night from that cell. So he was in C block, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's C block. But he had to get a protector because he wasn't a big guy and his brain wasn't really there anymore. So he was protected by his one of the cellmates who was from Chicago. He was just a petty criminal, but had done some work for Capone and his gang. So he watched over him. And then Capone's wife, May, which apparently they had a lovely marriage. They both got married. She was 19. He was 20. Their parents had to sign paperwork for them. They had 8 kids. He was an absolutely doting dad. His brain had deteriorated so much that they released him in 1939. They didn't expect him to live for much longer. He did pass away in 1947. And in 1942, he was one of the first people to test penicillin, which helped prolong his life and slow down the syphilis. Mm-hmm. But I heard about him being put into solitary confinement. I couldn't find anything to say that was the case, but in his cell and in that block, you can hear banjos playing at night. So with anything, there might be some Capone link there.
That's a very distinctive sound too. So it would be hard to mix it up with something else.
Yeah. But when I hear that stuff, I always think like, what is the West Virginia one with the, rapids? I'm going to, like a stuck pig playing the banjos.
Oh,
Deliverance.
Yeah, that's it.
Deliverance. Yeah.
that's what I think about. Let's see. Now, here we go. This is his release. So when when he was done with his time in Alcatraz, he still had another conviction he had another year in prison to do. So he was sent to Terminal Island. It's right in San Francisco too. It's a low security prison. And he was there for a year before he was released and sent back home with his wife. But he moved directly to Miami at this point. And And that's where he was living out the last days of his life. But, I don't know what syphilis does to you, but he looks okay there, but apparently he was very sick from it.
I was just going to ask, what are the side effects, or how was he towards the end of his life?
It's kind of like Alzheimer's disease. The bacteria had eaten a lot of his brain, and he had shakes and stuff like that. It's not something you hear about anymore because we have modern antibiotics, but he had it for years. Now, while he was a doting dad and lovely to May with his wife May, let's just say you can take the pimp from the brothel, but certain habits stick around. Let me see what else we got here. So some other things linked to his gang, and that is Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. So this is actually about 45 minutes southwest of downtown Chicago. It's just a little nondescript kind of pioneer cemetery. It's in a state park called Rubio Woods. And right now the Midlothian Highway runs right through the middle of it. But what's really interesting here, I'll kick it in, is you might know some of these pictures, like this one with the big grave in the background. The biggest thing that you would need to know about is this pond. And what happens was, back in the 1920s, this was all farmland and woods. No one really went out there. So a lot of the mobsters in Chicago would go and dump bodies in the pond. It's out of the way. No one's really around. And so in 1974, I think it was, there was a police car coming down Midlothian Highway. I think it was actually, the previous road that ran through there. But Midlothian would be the today equivalent. And they had to stop because a monster with like 20 screaming heads crawled out of that pond and was crossing the lake, crossing the roadway. And they're like, oh my goodness, it's the spirits of all those mobsters. They really call it the farmer because back in the day when it was a farmer, his horse got spooked. He got tangled up. They both got dragged in. The horse took off into the pond and they both drowned. So they talk about the farmer crawling out, but I guess, throw in like 20 some dead bodies, right? The monster's going to crawl out. Most of that only lasted a few years in the 70s, that urban legend, I'll call it, because no one has it on no, not even a blurry photo, people. But it was reported on the news.
Did they ever comb the lake or the pond?
I have not heard anything about that. To be honest, it doesn't look like that deep of a pond.
No.
Because you can see the creek that goes through and fills it up. It's not much of a creek. And it doesn't look to be that deep. Now they put the bridge over it because I don't know if you can see it, but this is the roadway right here.
Okay.
But I don't think that thing could be any more than 6 feet deep, to be honest. So
interesting.
But that is something, dumping ground in the woods, perfect place to put bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to try some magnet fishing there.
Yeah. So the next place is the Green Mill Cocktail Lounge. This is a classic bar in Chicago. Well, it's a lounge. Actually, they have jazz musicians. They have an old stage. I've got a picture of the inside. So this is what it looks like. Just so you know, I lived about half a mile north of here when I lived in Chicago. So I know the Green Mill very well. Across the street from is this wonderful Ethiopian restaurant I used to go to all the time. There's a Starbucks right there too. And a taco joint. Anyway.
A good one?
Yeah, it is. It's total greasy street food. It's amazing to behold. But this is the inside of the Green Mill, and they kept it from its glory days back during Prohibition. So while it was a lounge, in the basement they had a speakeasy. And apparently, it's Chicago, we got tunnels. Apparently it had tunnels that ran out to Lake Michigan. So the boats would come in with the booze, they'd load them up, put them into the tunnel, and take them to the speakeasy underneath of here. Now, what you see here with this table, it is a tribute to Al Capone. which I think is kind of funny because Al didn't spend so much time on the north side of Chicago because that's the Irish Polish mob area, the North Side Gang, and they were at war. But here's the funny thing about it. You think it would be for Jack McGurn. And who's Jack McGurn? Well, that was one of Capone's lieutenants. And he was Italian. But because he was in a North Side Irish community, he changed his name. And he went with Jack McGurn. I guess Black Irish, right? And so what they say happens here, I would say it's more so for Jack McGurn, though, is you pour a shot and put it out and it'll mysteriously vanish. Like the booze will vanish. And you do that every night. You've heard some of these before, like in Merchant's Cafe in Pioneer Square in Seattle. You pour a shot so no one throws the wine bottles off the rack.
Is that a tradition or a superstition or kind of somewhere in the middle?
It's about the same. It happens all the time. There's always a shot out. I would say because this was Jack McGurn's place, I'm thinking it's more Jack McGurn than Capone.
Okay.
Like I said, he didn't always spend his time at the Green Mill because it was hostile territory. Yeah. But you could see it's definitely had its heyday back in the 20s and 30s and stuff. You can't see it. Here's the stage in the background. Oh, you can kind of see the pianist is right there. It's not a very big place, but it is like stepping back 100 years ago. Now, in the Speakeasy underground, which no one really goes to anymore, there's things like you can hear phantom shots, not booze people, but gunshots. And what sounds like the dragging of bodies or the dragging of the hooch through it. But they used to do tours for it. They don't do it anymore. That's the Green Mill. I have to be cognizant of time because Merle's got to go soon. He was playing. That's out. Okay, here's another good one. And this is a daytime manifestation, residual. So where you see this is Holy Name Cathedral. It's in River North in Chicago. It's about 6 blocks off Michigan Avenue. And here's the church. This is where Jaime Weiss was executed in broad daylight. He was shot down right in front of that church. And you can still see the pockmarks. Now, the thing is, because it's a busy city, because he got killed, I think, mid-afternoon, and it was October 4th, I think. I could be wrong on that one. He was just crossing the street and stuff and got blown away. And you can apparently hear the phantom Tommy gun shots on the anniversary of his death. Where there's most of it, the bullet holes have been filled in, but there's one that just won't seal up. And it's supposed to be the lethal bullet that passed through Jaime.
Okay.
But I'm thinking it's in an odd corner of the building. Maybe, maybe the stuff just doesn't stick and pops out. And last but not least, I'm going to bring up the Congress Hotel. So I love this hotel. This is one of my favorite investigation spots in Chicago.
Have you been there?
I have. I stayed there. You know why? Here's the next picture. I went to college in this building right across the street at Roosevelt University.
Wow.
So you could go over to the bar in a hotel or something like that. There's an underground tunnel called Peacock Alley. It's sealed off now. But Peacock Alley is where H.H. Holmes allegedly had a pharmacy. So when the ladies would come, he would meet them in the lobby. Hey, let's go work here. Oh, you're alone. Don't stay in the hotel. Come back to my crib and I'll cut you up and put you in the acid bath. It'll be amazing.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. So I went to Roosevelt University. These 2 buildings were built for the 1893 World's Fair. So if you heard Devil in the White City, that book, these buildings would have played a part. This one, which is the university, is the auditorium building. Amazing auditorium. And here's the Congress. So at the time, there's only one tower. The second tower was added about 11 years later, if I'm correct.
Wow.
It was finished by 1904, I'm pretty sure. But this was the hotel for the World's Fair.
Peacock Alley. That's very interesting.
Yeah. It's sealed off. I think it got sealed off in 1923. Okay. It's just filled in. They filled it in and bricked it up and everything. But at Roosevelt, if you go into the basement, you can see the arch where the entranceway was.
Mm-hmm.
It's all bricked up, but with the Congress, when it comes to the gangsters, it's not necessarily known for its gangsters, but Capone it wasn't Capone. Everyone's like, oh, Capone haunts it. It's not Capone, it's his henchmen. Was it John or a Frank too? Ugh, all these Italian names. And if you go up to the North Tower, that's this one, to the 8th floor, it's Suite 801, which would probably put it right about here. Oops, I need to do this on your screen. Somewhere like right around in here.
Okay.
You will get the cigar smoke. You will hear what sounds like a card game going on. No, nothing to be afraid of by any means.
Right. Just that residual, nostalgia type thing.
Yeah. And so the one interesting thing about the hotel was in 1919 or 1921, it was before the mobs really went crazy. There was a group of Russian mobsters that took out a group of Italian mobsters on the 3rd floor.
Oh my.
It would have been, I think it's an interior room. But in the North Tower, and a 5-year-old boy was shot and killed. And I will say I did a ghost hunt, and we got the name James 5. He was looking for his dad. And so in the hit, a 5-year-old boy named James was killed.
Wow.
Cool. So I got that EVP.
Cool, but
interesting.
Yeah. One of the other things is in a hallway going to, I forgot, Florentine Room. It used to be a skate rink back in the day. Yes, they had an inside skating rink.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear somewhere in mid-afternoon a gunshot pop because a mobster got shot in the hallway. I think that's more urban legend more than anything. But anyway, it's just cool to, this place, mobsters used to hang out. It was the swanky hotel in town during the time.
Mm-hmm.
President stayed there, all that good stuff. And, I've investigated it 6 times. I went to school right across the street. So
that's neat.
And we're at time, folks.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, Wendy, do you want to spiel about your stuff? I can pull up your document.
I could.
Let me stop my share.
Kansas City was a major mafia hub. And right up until about the 90s. Maybe now, I don't know, because I'm kind of, most everybody I might have known is pretty much dead from whatever, but I'll give you some Kansas City, just our general background on it, if you like.
Okay, well, let me share.
Okay.
The document. Well, let me do the document.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Well, the mob influence first took hold in Kansas City around the turn of the 20th century, when an influx of Sicilian citizens arrived in major cities all along the Mississippi River. Many were looking for jobs in the railroad industry, and then others were looking for, they were resorted to crime to survive. The first prominent criminal outfit in Kansas City was called the Black Hand. There was a movie out, Black Hand Straw Man, I believe. I kept looking for that one and couldn't find it, and then other things came into being. But it was a really sinister extortion racket that operated out of Kansas City's North End, which is now the Northeast area, and mostly inhabited by Hispanics and lower income people. There's just smaller homes, and then there's the mansions up there. I don't go over there very much. It's a little run down. But anyway, the Blackhanders, a name they were given because of their penchant for leaving threatening notes with a black handprint. They'd approach their fellow Italian immigrants in Kansas City with the following proposition: pay or die. So in May of 1929, a corrupt New Jersey politician named Enoch Johnson hosted America's most notorious career criminals in his hometown of Atlantic City. The meeting of mobsters, excuse me, monsters, mobsters, whatever, is considered to have been the first organized crime summit in the history of the United States. It was one of the first times that Jewish, Italian, and Irish criminals came together in unison, mutually forming governing principles. Attendees included the likes of, guess who, Jake? Al.
No.
Yes, Al was there.
He gets around.
He did, man. He was in all of the stories somewhere.
He was.
Classic
He got
Al.
around. Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and Kansas City's own John Latzia. And there's a picture of him there. He doesn't fit quite so much with the other pictures, but
yeah, he doesn't look very mobster there at all. He kind of looks like dentist.
Professor.
He looks like a dentist.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the Atlantic City Conference's organizers called the meeting during an inflection point for mobsters in the United States. The federal alcohol ban brought organized criminals more wealth than any of Prohibition's champions could have imagined. Suddenly, the criminal underworld was able to provide a product that legitimate establishments could no longer serve. Consequently, regional bootlegging outfits were getting into territorial disputes with one another as their businesses grew larger and more profitable. And yes, I copied some, I put my own words in, I put a bunch of information together, so it's reading kind of like a weird article. Sorry.
Well, that's okay, but I mean, let's just take a moment to appreciate the stash.
Yes, shall we?
That's a good stash. I was looking at the Winston Churchill guy above that. He looked like Winston.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but that stash is something to behold.
That's a strong stash.
That's a strong stash.
Now that was Pendergast. That was old Tom Pendergast from about 1900. He was not an actual mobster. He was the politician, the evil, greedy politician that made it all run in Kansas City.
So nothing changed.
Right, exactly. He made it all happen. You needed a job, you went to Tom. And actually he got behind Latzia, and Latzia's presence at the Atlantic City Conference was indicative of the earning power and political influence held by the Kansas City Mafia at the time. By 1929, organized crime in Kansas City was coming, more organized. The two men responsible for shaping the criminal underworld were Latzia and none other than Tom Pendergast. Yeah, there you go, Wendy. Tom Pendergast. And while the mob may have controlled the North End, Pendergast controlled all of Kansas City Metro by wielding his unchecked political power in Missouri's most prominent Democrat, and through his control of Missouri's federal welfare relief program as well, which that just kind of sucks. They owned all of the judges, all of the everything.
I mean, that's a big payroll, though. You got to think about that.
Holy hell, yeah, it was. But
so that's interesting to see. Latzia, his downfall was tax evasion, because that's what took down Capone.
Yep.
And we can thank the Volstead Act for that.
That's how they took a lot of these guys down. Was with that.
Yeah, because the Supreme Court ruled, I think in 1929 or 27, that illegal income still has to have tax paid.
Was that? Ooh, you
So
knew
Capone had this really skittish accountant who fessed up that Capone made $100,000 for 2 years without paying taxes on it from illegal, and that was used to lock him up.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Well, anyway, in 1934, yeah, Latzia was arrested on the charges of federal income tax evasion. Pendergast couldn't get his butt out of trouble. Let's see. I guess less than 5 months after his arrest, while he was not on bail, when he was out on bail, excuse me, he was shot by unknown assailants upon returning to his home in from the Lake Lotawana area. I didn't know Lake Lotawana was that old. Anyway, sorry. His wife was fine, escaped unscathed. And there, it shows the building, and that building's still there. That's
Ooh.
Yeah. Park Central Hotel. I think it's now the Park Plaza Lofts or apartments or
Okay, I was gonna ask what it was today.
Mm-hmm.
I love
That's the second picture with the
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like when they convert the old hotels. I lived in an old hotel converted to apartment.
Cool.
Yeah. The cable could have been better, you know, but
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, his final statements was, "I don't know why they did it. I'm a friend to everybody." Oh, I guess he had quite the funeral too with what was it? A solid copper casket?
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, and it cost like 40 grand for the casket and
Jeez.
the funeral and the burial and everything. It
Oh,
was
hot damn. So,
yeah.
yeah, with Capone, when he died in Florida. They sent him back to Chicago. He was in Mount Olivet Cemetery, big
Mhm.
Catholic.
Mhm.
And 3 years later, they moved him to Mount Carmel, which is where a lot of the gangsters are buried. He just
Mhm.
has a little tombstone that big that says Alphonse Capone, years, something
Wow.
about
But
Jesus having
now
mercy, and it's a pretty nondescript grave.
Mhm. I wonder if that was to keep vandals from stealing the headstone or if it's even a fake.
Oh, that's a good point. I
Yeah.
don't know. I know you can still see them. I think
Mhm.
Mount Carmel has like staff that patrols, and so they may
Hmm.
not have a problem with vandalism.
But anyway, yeah, and I couldn't find anything about hauntings or the building being haunted, but that might be a little on the upper end, and they might not want those kind of stories getting out too.
Mm,
I don't know. I will check further though. I may drive by, but
okay.
not with the Tommy gun.
You're our on the ground reporter.
That's right.
That's right. So the Majestic looks like it's had better days. What's the story there?
Um, the Majestic is an old. It started out as a, let's see, where we go. Okay, James Fitzpatrick um, was a friend of old Tom Pendergast, the infamous crime boss, and although he wasn't officially a crime boss, he was a crime boss. He was the crime boss. But this Fitzpatrick bought it in 1911, and the third floor was where Fitzpatrick lived, and
Hmm.
Pendergast did a whole lot of business out of there. Now I've been here. I've been here several times. It's been a few years, but uh, great steakhouse. Now that and they refurbished all of it. They put in
Oh,
a.
okay.
I think let's see. Okay, during I wrote it all down. Okay, yeah, the third floor was now the Pendergast Club, which is now the Pendergast Club. It was a cigar bar for a little bit, and we went up there touring it. And okay, I don't see ghosts, but you could feel the energy of an old mafia type hangout, an old movie with the Philip Marlowe and but he's said to Pendergast is said to haunt this place, and you know that and I know that a lot of people don't know any of the Kansas City. Yes, Laura. There are gnats in here. There was a plumbing problem, and the gnats have just been unbelievable in here, and I do apologize for that. They anyway, um, and let's see, the let me go back. Sorry. Um, the second floor was a brothel, but now it's only used for storage, and the first floor was the previous saloon, is now the main restaurant. Now down one more level, and of course, as you know, like Chicago, Kansas City was just, all of the boss hangouts had the tunnels and things up from the river and the River Key area. And let's see, there was a speakeasy in the bottom, and now you can feel the speakeasy, even if there's no music playing. It's a jazz bar now, but even in the quiet morning hours, it's a creepy feel, kind of, and you can see where the archway was, but they filled all of those tunnels in. I don't know why or exactly when, but there are probably a crap ton of bodies in the Missouri River with cement shoes. Um,
Ooh.
let me see. What are we looking at? Okay. Oh, the Kansas City
Massacre. That's
Massacre.
a big ass Union Station.
We have a huge Union Station, and it's gorgeous and all decked out with "Go Chiefs," red and gold, and everything right now. um, June 13th, 1933. And this comes from Troy Taylor. I'm sorry, my blood sugar's not off at this point, but it's still trying to tell me that it is. Or maybe it is a little bit off, but hey, whatever. This is from Troy Taylor's American Hauntings, but this is basically everything that was compiled, and it's a nicely written article, so I figured I could tell you. There's Capone again. The sun was shining brightly over Kansas City, Missouri on the morning of June 17th, not 13th, sorry, 1933. Outside Union Station, the usual flurry of activity was taking place as people came and went on the arriving and departing trains, and crowds milled about, hurrying to catch their train as it was leaving the station, or greeting loved ones who had just arrived by rail. Suddenly, the pleasant day was shattered by the sound of machine gun fire. It was echoing up from the plaza parking lot. People began to scream and run for their lives, and automobile tires squealed. Men's voices cried out in anger, and over came the harsh retorts of gunfire. By the time that it finally came to an end, 5 men were dead and 2 others were wounded. Blood-soaked bodies were twisted inside a bullet-scarred 1932 Chevrolet, and others lay sprawled on the pavement outside, glistening with crimson gore. How did I do?
Look, here's bodies.
What no one knew in those panicked moments was that 6 of the victims were law enforcement officers, 3 of whom were agents of the Justice Department, the Justice Department's Bureau of Investigation, the forerunner of the FBI. The 7th man, who lay dead with most of his head blown away, was a criminal. Police officers and federal agents were returning to Leavenworth, a prison from which he had made one of his most famous escapes. His name was Frank Nash, and he was one of the most successful bank robbers of the Depression era. Nash had been nicknamed Jelly because of his uncanny ability to escape from even the most secure prisons. But it was not only prison that Frank Nash escaped from, some say. On the day of the Kansas City massacre, Nash managed to escape from the grave. as well. Excuse me. His body may have been shattered by bullets that morning, but his spirit has managed to survive.
Interesting.
Ghost Ventures investigated Union Station too.
They did,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
don't believe they got anything, did
No,
they?
they had jack shit. They got
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much well that was pretty much what I got from, trying to find any personal stories or anything. He's been spotted all over the station with vague ghostly footsteps and manifestations of residual energy. That's about all that he might show up in a picture that tourists are taking outside of the place. I don't know. Maybe I'll head down in the next week or so. They've got a Mayan exhibit, and I'll just take random pictures and see if he shows up.
That's right.
Yeah.
And yeah. So Laura, yes, I'm animated. Gotta have a little fun.
Exactly. But if you scroll down a little bit, there are pictures and
Yep. Yeah. While you were talking, I had it on them.
oh,
Especially,
okay,
I
cool.
wanted to zoom in on the brainy matter here.
Brains.
Yes, brainy.
Brains, but you can't really see it.
And from what I could tell, he had a nose job. What I gleaned from different information. He got a nose job and he bought wigs to cover his bald head and be incognito quite a bit.
Okay, he was a master of disguise.
Yep.
Oh, look at this lovely psychopathic serial killing robbers.
Bonnie and Clyde. You want to read it, or can I just be done talking, or what? What do you want to do here?
Oh, we got 3 pages. I think everyone knows how Bonnie and Clyde.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
We all know the history of Bonnie and Clyde, but we want to know, where do they haunt?
Yeah, what's the ghost situation with them?
They like to haunt where they were shot and killed in Gilsland, Louisiana.
They were killed in Louisiana?
It was yeah, actually.
Okay. Oh, they were traveling all over. Okay.
Yeah, they were spotted like everywhere.
Some state that a video of a ghostly woman wearing a long, old-fashioned gown walking from one pillar to the next in the hotel lobby resembles Bonnie. This is at which hotel? Baker Hotel.
Yeah, they were Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Missouri.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know that they had a joint in. They had a place in Joplin, Missouri, and they barely escaped with their lives there.
Oh, they made it all the way out to California.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Ooh, bullet-ridden V8 Ford death car. I'm kind of surprised Zach doesn't have that for the Haunted Museum yet.
Oh, he will.
Give it time. Give it time.
Okay, yeah, it was okay. 1934, May 1934. The couple were driving a backwooded road near their hideout at Bienville Parish, Louisiana, when police officers from Texas and Louisiana set up a roadblock near Gibbsland, Louisiana. 5 officers ambushed the stolen car Bonnie and Clyde were in, and within minutes, the car was riddled with over 100 bullets. There's supposed to be a museum down there that they haunt, and the site itself on the old road. And they say they have the original car, but from the pictures I saw, from the crime scene photos right there, and the car that was that's in the museum, the color seems to be wrong.
I just want to talk about nasty people like cutting off Clyde's ear and trigger finger.
Right, and these were spectators. They wanted souvenirs.
It's so strange.
But they got the guy that was trying to take the finger or the ear. Yeah, the ear and the finger, I think.
Yeah.
He got stopped by the cops, but before he got him off. But what the hell, people? But I guess that's kind of like the way up north of there. In where am I thinking? Help me, Jake.
North of there.
Villisca, Iowa. You know, the crime scene was so trampled and you know, everybody had been rummaging through it that to get any kind of solid evidence, they couldn't. But that was 1911 too, so 20 years later, I guess people were the same.
Yeah.
Wanted their piece of the famous couple.
The old-fashioned tea. They wanted
yes. Quite morbid.
It is.
Morbid.
Yes.
You know, this is interesting. As a ghost hunter, I'm not particularly into dead things.
No.
But that's
I've
still
seen them. They're not pretty.
I guess if they're still warm.
No, still not pretty. They're worse like that.
No, but
yeah,
I will daze with Jordan the lion. I will check that out.
Huh?
Laura dropped a comment.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, otherwise I was not looking at.
Yeah, we have all the StreamYard technology we need to use.
Ooh, okay.
That could be interesting to look up.
Mm-hmm. So kids. It's getting to that time.
Anyway.
Why are we whispering?
I don't know. I just am.
Okay.
There's all kinds of, you know, people who have done so much research and so much podcasts and YouTube videos and all kinds of things on most of these guys. So we gave you a brief rundown tonight, but that's yeah.
We just wanted to focus on the sensational death.
Yes. Death.
Because that's entertaining.
Murder.
And tax evasion.
I know it's like how you want to catch a crook. What? Tax evasion.
Tax evasion. Yeah.
It's always follow the money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So kids, what are we? Oh, go ahead.
Okay. If you want more information on like the Kansas City mob and stuff, that show Fargo, it's based off the and it does a really good job. Apparently, I don't think I've watched it. I'm not into the mafia. After a horse head in bed with somebody, I was turned off by the mob. Forget about it.
Yeah. As a former Chicagoan, I had enough mob. For all the history things, that I'm just like.
And you never know how much to say because, like, I grew up with it here. And I mean, some of these people came to my house a couple times, and
just wait, we're gonna need the tea. We're gonna need the tea.
The stepfather, the wicked stepfather, before he was the wicked stepfather, was heavily involved. He's dead now, so you know.
How many of them are dead now?
Most.
Okay, let's have a session.
The Savellas were, you know, into the 80s and 90s. They were going to jail for tax evasion and things. And the DiCapos and the people who own Italian Gardens, and I found out that I knew a lot more serious criminals than I ever imagined they were. And you know, they were just the people who came by sometimes.
They came by, let's have a burger, we're having a barbecue.
Hey, let's have a barbecue. Or we went to the restaurants, you know, and I was told about a few different ones that I just wish I never even had that information, but
okay, so you know, we'll just do shots and we'll do an off the record. That'll be broadcasting live, and you know,
in live.
So, kids, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week we have the Paranorthwest team coming on. They also have a wonderful podcast. They're going to be speaking ghosts and indigenous folklore of the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, cool.
They're based out of Spokane, Washington.
Awesome. I've been to Spokane.
I will be there in
Neat.
24 days.
He's gonna do. He's doing a ghost hunt there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's who we have next week. They'll be a lot of fun. They have some really wild tales about the indigenous folklore, and we call him Wendigo. They call him the W because they don't say the name.
Right. Because it could attract his attention, and they come and eat you.
Yep. So we'll refer to it as the W next week. Not W.
Okay. Well, we're trying to do some cryptid stuff, Merle. So just drop some W's here and there.
Okay.
W. And and you look like you should coat yourself with that mustard barbecue sauce. I'm just saying.
Okay. Spicy mustard.
Yep.
McDonald's, to be specific.
Yep. Just in case we need that footage.
Jake needs the shot.
I need the shot. I mean, I was just hanging off sea cliffs while we were down at the, at the lighthouse because someone slipped it to their death. So I had to get the shot.
Well, yeah.
We're getting Jake a shirt saying, "I need the shot."
Yes.
You need the shot.
Not the money shot, just the shot.
With a camera.
The shot.
The shot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I could be going, you insulin? I can give you an insulin shot.
Cool. All right. Yeah.
Anyway, all right then.
Okay, kids. Well, next week, we'll see you in a week.
Oh, yeah, and I was looking at that one possibly interesting guest, but we can discuss that after, and you can tell me if you want me to try to book her or not. So,
sounds good.
Okay.
All right, kids. We'll have
good
night.
night.
All right, everybody, have a good weekend.
Ciao.
Stay warm.